It's 5 a.m., pitch black outside. You're fast asleep. And then someone starts tapping on your bedroom window with a long stick. You're not being robbed. You're not in danger. You just paid this stranger to wake you up. Welcome to one of the strangest jobs in human history. A job that millions of people depended on every single morning for over 100 years. And it disappeared so quietly that almost nobody remembers it ever existed. This is the story of the knocker-up. To understand why this job existed, you have to understand what the Industrial Revolution actually did to time itself. Before factories, most people worked according to daylight and the seasons. Nobody was fired for showing up late to a sunrise. But factories changed everything. A factory doesn't care about sunrise. It cares about the clock. Miss your shift by 10 minutes and you could lose a day's wages, sometimes your job entirely. So suddenly, for the first time in history, millions of ordinary people needed one thing they didn't have: a reliable way to wake up on time. And here's the twist. Alarm clocks existed, but they were expensive, clunky, and honestly, not that reliable. For a factory worker's wages, an alarm clock could cost more than a week's pay. So an entire profession appeared to fill the gap. A human alarm clock, who you paid a few pence a week, and who would not leave your window until you were awake. Knocker-ups carried long poles, sometimes reaching all the way up to third or fourth floor windows, and they'd tap rhythmically until they heard movement inside. Some got creative. There are documented cases of knocker-ups using dried peas fired through blowpipes at the glass, loud enough to wake you, gentle enough not to break the window. One woman in 1930s East London, named Mary Smith, made her living exactly that way, earning 6 pence a week, shooting dried peas at sleeping workers' windows. And this wasn't a rare niche job. In industrial towns like Manchester and in London's docklands, where dock workers' schedules were dictated by the tides, not the sun, knocker-ups were a normal expected part of the early morning streets. Here's what makes this even more interesting. It was one of the only working-class jobs of the era genuinely open to both men and women on roughly equal footing. Charles Nelson in East London worked as a knocker-up for 25 years, waking doctors, market traders, and delivery drivers every single morning. Like any job that puts you on the street at 4 a.m., it attracted interesting characters. In 1860, a Manchester knocker-up named William Harrop was caught stealing coal from a factory during his rounds. When police found him wandering at strange hours, they didn't question him, because to everyone, being out at 4 a.m. with a long stick was just his job. It was the perfect cover. He eventually got caught anyway and was sentenced to hard labor. But mostly, this was an honest, essential, and genuinely respected trade. By the 1870s, the cost of hiring a knocker-up had become significant enough that it showed up in actual labor union negotiations between workers and factory owners. So what killed the knocker-up? Partly factories themselves. Many started installing electric buzzers and horns to wake up entire neighborhoods at once, cheaper than paying dozens of individual knocker-ups. And partly, alarm clock manufacturers saw an opportunity. As industrial wages slowly rose, they marketed clocks directly at the working class as a one-time cost instead of an ongoing weekly fee. But here's the part that surprises people most. This job didn't vanish overnight. Some knocker-ups were still working into the 1940s, waking up night shift workers well into the era of radios, telephones, and modern factories. It's not some distant medieval oddity. It's a job your great-grandparents might have actually used. And it wasn't just Britain either. French and Italian industrial towns had their own versions of the same idea, though they tended to use whistles instead of poles or pea shooters. Somewhere between the 1750s and the 1940s, waking up a stranger with a stick was just normal. As normal as your phone alarm is to you right now. And that's what's genuinely strange about history. Not just the odd jobs and forgotten inventions, but how completely normal they felt to the people living through them. Somewhere down the line, someone's going to look back at us the exact same way. If stories like this are your thing, the kind of fact that makes you say, wait, that's real? This is exactly what Quirklore is about. New one every week.